what we are seeing right now is one for the ages. What we're witnessing right now in reality, in real time, is the canonization, the apotheosis of criminality. It's the glorification of yet another thug who, despite being charged with murder, is being transformed into some kind of cultural icon by a group of people so bereft who are going to lose another round of elections because of this idiot. I mean, this is the same group of people who's either glorifying MS-13 traffickers and now this guy. This is this very same machine that had the same way with George Floyd, another thug, another criminal who died of an overdose, who they made into some kind of a martyr. Well, this is Karmelo with a K. K as in killer. And though he's been accused of taking another life in cold blood, he is being held up as some kind of new symbol. Not a symbol of togetherness or whatever. No. Believe it or not, it's a symbol of caution. It's a symbol of caution. And again, identitarian, racial identity, social struggle, systemic grievance of I don't know what. It's incomprehensible. You see, you can't write this stuff. You can't think. Somebody who's writing this script would say, no. Look, we can pick somebody else. There are so many great young black people or old black people or veterans, people who stood up for something, somebody who tried to make their community better, somebody who stood up to Trump in a way that, but not this. They have no sense of what works. Now, the facts of the case are clear to anybody paying attention. A young man is dead. There's an allegation of murder. A community is grieving. But the narrative, crafted and somehow cobbled together and launched into some kind of lunatic warp speed corporate media approach, has him being pronounced by activist groups and the like as the victim. He's the victim. And by the way, the money that they're running, I don't know if they're saying, some people are saying that he's got about $900,000 or lives in a $900,000 house or whatever, and that maybe he's using the money. I don't know. That remains to be seen. Remember, you got to stick to the facts. You can't make up facts. But would you be surprised if you found out that the money that's coming in for his defense is going elsewhere? Would that surprise you? Would you be shocked? Would you lose sleep? No. Come on. It's not about justice. It's about accountability. This is simple. I don't understand it. It's not even about due process. It's what is with these people. This is about mythology. This is about the creation of mythology. Because that's what this is. The left has this obsession with deifying and mythologizing men like George Floyd and now Karmelo into larger-than-life martyrs, systems, people who were caught up in a... How did this even escalate? Why are you carrying weapons? How many times... This doesn't even happen that often. Fights, even in those crazy Chipotle riots where somebody breaks the place apart because they didn't get an extra barbecue sauce, there's no knives involved or guns. This is off the charts. And individuals whose real lives and crimes and conduct are scrubbed clean, whitewashed and rebranded and relabeled in service to a kind of a broader ideological campaign. That's what this is. So in the blink of an eye, this K for killer, remember Karmelo, not the basketball player, but this guy, has become more than a man. He's become an avatar, a mythical avatar, a representation of racial struggle, of animus, of the systemic oppression and left-wing grievance politics. I'm just spewing this out, and it's nuts to me, but it's on target. And the speed with which this transformation has happened is stunning, mind-boggling. So how did we get here? How do we arrive at a point in American culture where alleged killers are venerated as heroes and their victims are forgotten? How? Are they mentioned at all? Do you know what it's like specifically when twins are killed? I don't want to say it's worse, but you have your soulmate dies in your arms. It's the same cultural script that we saw play out with George Floyd, the thug, the flotsam and jetsam of humanity, the waste of flesh. George Floyd, who died of an overdose. And don't be surprised if Officer Chauvin has his at least his federal charges commuted. And regardless of his lengthy criminal record or his drug use or the immediate circumstances of his death, George Floyd was elevated beyond question into sainthood. Murals, statues, television tributes, people bowing with kente cloths, making some kind of an African. He couldn't spell Africa. And they're wearing kente cloths, all on their knees, except for Jerry Nadler, who, by the way, would still be on his knee had he tried it the first time. Global protest in his name, his likeness, his face, his image, his caricature, broadcast around the world with a halo attached to it, with wings. You can't make this up. And what followed wasn't healing. It wasn't unity. It wasn't even justice. It was chaos. Unmitigated. Absolute chaos. Billions in damage. Remember Antifa, Black Lives Matter. All in New York. We always knew there was going to be a riot or a protest when the plywood sales came out. And we knew especially one on 11th Avenue here in Hell's Kitchen, where all of the car dealerships are, the high ends, the Mercedes and this and that, where all of a sudden, when the cars were off of the showroom floor, we knew there was going to be a riot. How is that? What does rioting have to do with it? How many times did Martin Luther King riot? Dozens of deaths, police departments demoralized, defunded. It was horrible because of that man, that thug. Law-abiding citizens left to fend for themselves basically said you were on your own. And this after COVID. And in the name of what exactly? One man's death used as a bludgeon to reshape a nation? I will never forget that. I will never forget that thug. You mentioned George Floyd to me and because it's not him, it's what he represents. Now we're seeing the same ingredients being stirred up again by the same people, only this time faster and with even less evidence to justify it. We are told, pardon me, strike that. We are instructed to believe that Karmelo with a K for killer is the victim here. That the system is rigged against him. That the murder charge is just another example of institutional bias and white supremacy or whatever, I don't know what it is. That to question his actions or character or motives or the facts of the case is somehow itself an act of racism. Can you believe that? And so a new myth is born, a new mythology is introduced to all of us. The left loves their manufactured martyrs, not the real people. These are people of the old days, Gandhi and Cesar Chavez, people who kind of did something. You can say what you want about Gloria Steinem or Betty Friedan, but at least they were responsible for legislation or trying something. Not here. Not here. I don't even know if it's... These are people too busy with their pink hair and their studded noses, sitting in their car by themselves, arguing about their pronouns. Oh, we've lost our minds. But what these demented fools, these chidrulos, love even more is the power that comes from controlling the narrative. They love this. That's what this is really about. It's like what the left is going to be doing now in midterms. They're going to be calling us, you, me, conservatives, Republicans, whatever, Nazis who are going to sweep people off the street. This is what they're doing. Like that MS-13 thug, that vermin, that waste of flesh. This is who they hang out. This is what they want. Anything that destroys the family, anything that is transgendered, anything that is weird. Karmelo the individual. It's about Karmelo the construct, Karmelo the hashtag, Karmelo the media cycle, Karmelo the spark, Karmelo the image, Karmelo the killer. Now, in this version of events, everything is flipped upside down. Criminals become saints, victims become footnotes, justice becomes subjective. Or, in this case, racist. Race becomes weaponized, and justice becomes vaporized. That's right. And common sense becomes hate speech. Don't you see the drill? So ask yourself this question. When was the last time the media, or what's left of the media, not our media, but when was the last time the media ever showed this much concern for the innocent victims of urban violence? When? For the police officers ambushed in cold blood, or for the store owners who lost everything in riots, supposedly held theoretically in the name of justice. This word they throw around. These are the ones who came after Juicy Smollett. Look at who their heroes are. Those lives don't trend on X or Twitter, whatever. They don't get GoFundMes with 6 figures. They don't get murals. They don't get CNN coverage. Why? Why do you think that is? I'll tell you why. Because those stories don't serve the narrative. You understand what I'm saying? They don't serve the narrative. But a man like Karmelo, now that's useful. That's something. He fits the script. Young, black, confrontational history, tied up with law enforcement. All the ingredients are there. You don't need facts. You don't need trials. You just need a camera, a slogan, and a media class eager to project guilt onto an entire system. That's what this is. It's the most incredible thing in the world. And my friends, and the system always loses. What we are seeing is not justice. It's propaganda. It's BS. It's a movement obsessed with symbols over substance, emotion over evidence. You see, the radical left, it doesn't want law and order. It's the last thing they want. They want control of the narrative, control of the idea, control of the thoughts, control over what you can say and can't say, what you can think, who you're allowed to sympathize with, whom you're allowed to criticize. That's what this is about. Listen carefully. This is the transformation of Karmelo the K into a modern saint. And this isn't accidental. It's strategic. It's deliberate. And it keeps the outrage machine alive because it's all they've got. It keeps donations flowing. To what? I don't know. It keeps political class in power, like Al Sharpton and these people. And more importantly, look at this. Tish James gets popped maybe for mortgage fraud. What does she do? She brings a civil rights component into it. I mean, this is nuts. And I know you're smarter than that. And more importantly, it keeps the public divided. Because I'm telling you, my friends, as long as Americans are fighting over the meaning of a mugshot, they're not asking questions. They're not asking questions about inflation. They're not asking questions about border chaos or AI or fentanyl or autism or corrupt elites laundering money through foreign wars and international NGOs. Got that, Samantha Power? See, they're too distracted. They're too distracted. And what's important, and this is what you've got to really keep in mind, when they're distracted, people like George Soros, like the heads of Act Blue, like the social engineers behind the curtain, they win. Not us, they win. And there's a reason why the same networks who demonize Trump voters and you and me as somehow threats to democracy will turn around and lionize an alleged murderer if the optics are right. There's a reason why blue cities have become havens for lawlessness. There's a reason, a real good reason, and why criminals are given more leniency than taxpayers. There's a reason why Karmelo the K can become the new face of a movement, while, interestingly enough, the real victims remain nameless. Listen to me. I'm going to say it again. I know I'm sounding redundant. It's not about justice. It never was. It's about revolution by narrative. Cultural inversion. Up becomes down. Criminal becomes hero. America becomes unrecognizable. That's what this is about. And the worst part about this, there is a worst part. The worst part is the speed and ease with which it happens. Within hours of the arrest, activists were already claiming conspiracy. Memes were being made, talking points distributed. It's like they had this already ready to go. Journalists falling over themselves, to humanize the accused Karmelo the K while ignoring the actual victim. Nobody even cares about him. Nobody even cares about him. It's like Lake and Riley. It's like any of these people. It's the weirdest thing in the world. All of it coordinated, all of it weaponized. And the term apotheosis, as you know, I use this, and it comes from ancient times. It meant turning a man into a god. The Greeks did it with warriors. The Romans did it with emperors. Today, the American left does it with criminals. Why? Why is that, you ask? Because it feeds the cycle. Outrage fuels donations. It's a Hegelian dialectic. Donations fuel Hegelian in reverse. Donations fuel campaigns, and campaigns fuel policies, and policies create more crime, and more crime creates more martyrs, and so the wheel turns. You see? Until somebody stands up and says, enough, this is going to continue. Basta. My friend, you know and I know we are not obligated to play along with the mass delusion. You are not required to pretend that someone accused of murder is a symbol of justice. You are not going to let media and activist grifters, rewrite reality because it suits, I guess, their political ends. This isn't about race, I say repeatedly. It's about responsibility. It's about justice. It's about telling the truth, even when it's unpopular. It's about resisting this urge to turn every single freaking tragedy into a hashtag and every crime into a cause. Look, why? Because a society that worships criminals will eventually become one run by them. And we might be there now. Not with our side, of course. Now, let's be absolutely clear. Let's be very, very clear. Pellucid, limpid. The people pushing this narrative now, they know exactly what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're not misinformed. They know exactly. They are radicalized. They are committed to tearing down every pillar of law, order, and truth there is, and replacing them collectively with the gospel of grievance. They don't want racial harmony. They never talk about that. They want perpetual division that they will manufacture and exacerbate. They don't want justice. They want leverage. They don't want equality. They want hierarchy. One where they decide who gets protected, who gets praised. That's exactly what's happening. And who gets punished. I'm going to say this again. In their America, a man like Karmelo the K doesn't go to trial. He gets a mural. He gets a scholarship named after him. He becomes an icon. Whether he's guilty or not, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is utility. The only thing that matters is the perception and the transmission and broadcast of the narrative. And what can this story be used for? That's what they want. And if that doesn't make your blood boil, if that doesn't snap you awake, if that doesn't make you say, okay, enough, then you're not paying attention. You're asleep. You're in a coma. And I know you're not. Because if they can do it with George Floyd, they can do it with Karmelo the K, they can do it with anyone. Anyone. And they are. Because they don't have a political plan. We don't need another media martyr. We don't need these faux, whatever you want to call them. We need truth. We need this thing called clarity. We need the courage to stand up right now, you and me, and say what everyone's thinking. Enough. But they're too afraid to say this. And the left, especially the left media, they have been just destroyed, reduced to nothing. Look, stop elevating chaos and disorder. Stop it. We've got to stop pretending that race or the perception of racial matters or racial aspects, that justifies everything and excuses nothing. Because one day, mark my words, one day, if we don't, it won't just be the names on murals that change. It'll be the country itself, the country permanently. And we may not get it back. It may be hit that tipping point. And that's the thing which I want you to understand. And if you think I'm exaggerating, you are not paying attention, dear friend. Now let me ask you something. What do you think? What do you think? Put your thoughts and comments down. Please like this video. Hit that little bell so you're subscribed to the channel. And more importantly, I can't say this enough, it is so critical for you to subscribe, because 80-something, percent of the people who watch the videos don't subscribe. So join us. Join Lionel Nation. Join the movement. Join like-minded Americans and patriots who are tired of this. And more importantly, comment. Especially the questions I've given you. Comment as you see fit.